The purpose of this podcast is to educate and inform. It is no substitute for professional care by your doctor or your qualified healthcare professional. Never disregard or delay professional medical advice because of something you've heard on this podcast or in any linked material. Guests who speak on this podcast express their own opinions, experience, and conclusions. Dr. Shirley neither endorses nor opposes any particular opinion discussed on this podcast. The views expressed on this podcast have no relation to those of any academic, hospital, practice, institution, or other entity with which Dr. Shirley may be affiliated.
Welcome to Forever Fab, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty. This podcast is curated by Dr. Shirley Madhere, MD, as the definitive source of holistic wellness through beauty.
When you sell yourself out in that journey where is the fine line. Yeah. And I think that's what I had to learn maybe last year.
Okay. Well,
I'm still working on that.
I work in progress.
Work in progress.
Well, speaking of last year, and I don't know what you went through last year, but let me ask you, was it a challenge, and is it a challenge that you're still working on, but it's still transformative for you?
Completely. And I hope I'm working on it forever.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's no such thing as moving past something. You can forgive, but you don't forget. And forgetting is what makes you better. It's the idea of the diamond, right?
Yes.
It's like something gets better the more it's pressured, and the more the more it's fine-tuned. And so I went through. What I realized I went through more than anything was not going through, because what I was doing was, okay, this is not working. Moving on. I'm good I'm a good runner.
Yeah.
But I never sat enough to feel it.
Yeah.
And so last year I let myself feel it, and it felt really shitty. And then I had to own my part of it, because we're not victims. So what was my part of this, right? So no one does anything to you without your permission.
Right.
So I had to really look. And 3 husbands later, I've had financial, physical abuse, emotional abuse. Mm-hmm. I've been through everything. And at the end of the day, I just feel like what a blessing it is I can relate to so many people. Right. And show people I still have so much excitement for life and so much enthusiasm, and everyone can have that.
How did you, or who helped you to work through all of that pain? It's so difficult to do it on your own. Who were your angels in those situations? I
mean, I would be sitting here like the music being turned off on an Oscar speech if I started to go through all of them, because I've had such a blessed life. I mean, I have to say, my mother and father, of all they went through, they both taught me they're really resourceful people. And I find resilient. And I found that even though I was judging myself so harshly on not being educated, this idea that you can figure it out is actually more important than anything. Yeah. Like, you can have all the education in the world, but if you don't believe that you can figure it out, you won't.
Yeah, you won't. Exactly.
You won't.
Exactly.
So I think that really is what's important. And both of my parents have always... I went through a long period when my father was in jail where I was angry at him. Mm-hmm. You chose heroin. You chose this life. Right. And the older I got, I realized that we do choose our poison, but we don't choose it from this
intentionally
is the paper.
Going to do right.
It's more that we choose to get lost in the pain. Yeah. So when I really started feeling for the first time, I was excited about that pain, because I'd never let myself feel that before. I just move on, shake it off, get up,
keep it moving.
The limbs aren't hanging off, I'm good.
Yeah.
So this is the first time I didn't want anyone's help with that. I wanted to feel it.
Okay.
But then when I went through this series of people, I think the person who really cracked me open the most is Lauren Zander. Oh. Lauren Handel Zander. She's mean, but and I needed that. And she basically said, well, I guess you like this.
Wow.
She's like, because you created this. Like, we all manifest.
Such a difficult message. You created it. You brought it into your life. It's like, no, I didn't.
Right. But then when she started to show me how we lie to ourselves all the time, even the little things, like, until I realized the minutia lies, I couldn't get it. Like, for example, you run into someone you haven't seen since high school. Yeah. You weren't even friends in high school. Right. They're like, let's get together. You say, okay.
Yeah.
Then they're texting you and calling you. You're trying to escape it.
And deep down, you don't
want
to.
It's a lie.
Yeah.
Right? It's like there's so many ways that we lie all the time, and we don't realize the universe has no sense of humor. Mm-hmm. So if you're like, I want to be a billionaire and have happiness, but then you're literally creating a life where you're never putting your needs first, there's a confusion on what you actually want. That's right. What is the real driving belief of yourself?
Yeah, what is your true intention?
And when I learned that my real driving belief was, I'm not really deserving of anything.
Yeah.
That's really what it boiled down to.
So, with regard to your father or whoever else, have you forgiven?
Oh, yes.
And what do you think the role of forgiveness is in healing?
I really don't think that there's any one way to do that. I don't think there's any one way to do anything. And I think the biggest part of my work right now is teaching people to find what they need for themselves. There's nothing more important than your intuition.
Yes.
I taught my kids that whatever's the feeling inside your first feeling, that's
Yeah.
the voice.
Ah.
And if you could practice it in little things, if you walk down the street and you usually go right, but you feel like going left, go there.
Right.
If you go to the restaurant and you know that you should be a paleo, keto, vegan, confusing situation, but you really want lasagna,
Yeah,
have
right.
a little bit of lasagna. Let yourself off the hook a little bit for just living.
Yeah.
I think we're not living anymore.
I think we're also taught to ignore that first hit and that little voice.
That's right.
Because I know I have a hard time with that. You get this feeling and then you sort of override it with your brain and all the things that you've been taught, and it's very challenging.
It's scary there.
Yeah, it's
that brain is scary.
Yeah, the brain is
drop down in the heart.
Okay. So is there a particular mantra that you live by?
I do.
Yeah. What is it?
Wake up every day and find the joy. Because, when you're little, you're taught to get dressed, and
Yes.
you're taught to eat,
Yes.
and you're taught to walk, but no one teaches you how to self-soothe as an adult.
Nope.
And actually, that's the problem. Like, okay, I wake up, I feel like crap. Well, how do I find a better feeling? No one's teaching you how to find a better feeling, but you can.
Yes.
And you know where you can find it? Go back to the last time you really felt that way in your own. It's usually, sadly, before you were 12. No, for real. It's really usually before you're 12.
That sort of sense of free.
That's
free
right.
happiness.
Free happiness, and also even more important than that.
Yes.
You knew how to find happiness again.
Yes.
You would do something. You know what? It's like we had tools. I'm going to jump rope. I'm going to ride my bike.
Right.
I'm going to go outside.
Yes.
I'm going to lie under the stars.
Yeah.
That's the same thing that does it for us now. We just decided that that's not what we should be doing.
Right.
But the irony of that is the more you lose that, the more you're not going to achieve your bigger goals.
Right.
But the more you tap into that excitement and that passion and that joy, then everything happens. It's all right there.
I love that. So what are you most grateful for? I know you have many, many reasons.
I'm most grateful for my children. I'm really, really blessed. I'm proud that they chose me. I told my daughter once 5 years ago, I really like you. You won't understand that till you have kids, because I love you, but I actually like you.
All right.
And like
Does that apply for husbands too?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yes, it does. It's a whole nother conversation.
A whole other conversation.
Yes.
Okay, so your children, and 5.
5.
Wonderful, congratulations. So you believe in crystals and their ability to affect energy. What
do.
was your first experience that turned you on to crystals?
I think that my first experience that turned me on to crystals was being drawn to one. I think when my mother first moved to Haiti, and I was catering, I was living in the Hamptons. I was working at a catering company. I was working every day, and then I took a second job at this place called Provisions, and I would go at 5 a.m. and make their before it was vegan, their
Yes.
non-dairy muffins and stuff.
Yes.
And then I would get on my bike and ride 17 miles to Georgia to work part-time at this other.
You are a worker bee.
But I was like, I'm going to, get whatever.
Yeah, you're gonna get it done.
I'm going to get it done. And I was feeling I had a hard summer. I was completely isolated. All my friends were like traveling around the world doing fun things. And I remember going to this bookstore and finding this book by Louise L. Hay, You Can Heal Your Life.
Oh,
and
yes.
I read that book cover to cover many times that summer.
Yes.
And then I started to notice the synchronicities that were happening in my life when I started to just kind of apply some of the simple things she was saying. Mm-hmm. Look in the mirror, tell yourself you love you.
Yes.
It's hard to do.
It is. And the affirmations sound kind of, again, woo-woo.
They sound woo-woo. But they were things I'd never said to myself. So finding these moments of loving on yourself, or
Yes.
when you just said the husbands, most of the time we have relationship issues, it's because whatever the person's doing that we don't like, and sit down for this, you're not going to like it.
Okay.
It's because they're only mirroring something we don't like we do.
No, Grace.
We're only mirroring something we don't like in ourselves.
Don't say it.
I'm sorry. It's true. It's true. So what happened with crystals was I started feeling like a very strange person. I'm saying all these things to people. This is 1987. Nobody knows what I'm talking about.
They thought you lost
Under
your mind.
70, they're like, what's happening? I already was a weirdo. I was a vegetarian at the time.
Yes.
Nobody was.
Right.
And just started immersing myself in this experience, and I never really got fully into I'm going to wear moccasins and follow the dead.
Got it.
But I'm a very aesthetic person. Mm-hmm. I love how your home feels. So having these things I felt like they were light bearing. Mm-hmm. So holding something that I felt was actually a trapping light inside for you to then receive was really how I felt I connected to crystals in the first time. And then that was it. I make the pouches. I don't know if I'm wearing it.
Oh,
I
please
make these
tell us.
crystal
So,
pouches.
These pouches, we have to get a picture. They are so beautiful. I did go online and I found that they are absolutely
you.
stunning. So they hold, it's a pouch for your crystals.
Yes, because I was carrying them in my bra and I was traveling a lot. So you know how weird that might be at TSA with all these rocks falling
Lady, you
out
got
of
a
your
rock
bra.
in your bra.
Yeah, it's like, what?
They're very understanding
Should
at
we
TSA.
arrest her? Should we try to date her?
Is
We
this
don't
a
know
weapon? I don't know what's going
She's
on.
gonna kill us. We don't know what's happening. So I was like, so I started just
Is this
making
kryptonite?
things. Right. What is this? And you should see them. They're like, hold it. They're like wanding it.
Oh my God.
So I just started figuring out
Hilarious.
how do I start to carry these things. I had
Yes.
pouches in my pocket and just
Yes.
trying to figure different things out. And I went to a flea market and I found the old purses from the 30s, the chainmail.
Yes, the chain
Started taking
purses.
pliers and making different ones.
Yes.
And then I started begging all my friends who make jewelry, can you please help me make a decent one?
Yes. So
And my
who makes
So
this
Jackie
one?
Aiche is
Jackie
a good friend of
Aiche.
mine, and so we partnered on these.
It's
and
absolutely
I
beautiful.
I
Where could
love
we
it.
find it? It is
So
stunning.
it's I'll send you a link, Valere Love. We make a gold one, just very expensive because it's handmade.
Okay.
And then we make a silver, but right now we're in the works to make a cloth version.
Oh.
So we're using all these different metallic threads and things.
Yes.
Because I don't like when things are exclusive.
Yes.
Everyone should have their version
Their
of
version
what
of it.
works for them.
Okay.
So
well, I'm going to work on getting my gold version because I'm a child of gold.
Yes,
but it's absolutely beautiful. So out of
Thank you.
practicality, you've created something
Yeah.
absolutely radiant and stunning.
Thank you. And they're two lengths, and one hits your heart, and one hits your solar plexus. So what is the reminder you need? Sometimes
Yes.
the solar plexus are all about not believing in yourself and
Yes.
not going for your bigger dreams, and then
That's
your
right.
heart is that having a hard time connecting to people.
Yep.
So I do the heavy one because
Yes.
I need to remind myself, you know what, you and you,
Yes.
and like love on yourself, connect to yourself, and so that's what I'm working on.
Perfect. So for the crystal beginner, what one crystal or two crystals would you recommend? For the crystal beginner, for the maybe non-believer who's thinking, let me check this out.
I know, or all the people I give them to, and they're like, "I love the rock you gave me," but I'll take that.
Yeah, right.
Well, if you keep it and you like it, I'll call it whatever you want.
Exactly.
I would my recommendation for every single thing.
Yes.
Because I love to read and I could
Yes.
recommend a million books.
Yes.
Is go into a place that you connect to the where they sell crystals.
Yeah.
And feel which one feels right for you, because it really will be what you need, and you'll be surprised when I tell people that. And then they go get a crystal, and then they read about it. They're always shocked because
Yeah.
it really is usually the properties that they really need to experience.
So every crystal is for an individual. You can't
Yeah.
just say everyone go out and get amethyst.
No, I mean, listen, you could break down what all the properties are,
Of
and you
course.
could definitely go that very thought way. Like, okay, I need red cornelian because red cornelian is all about manifest, whatever
Yes.
the thing is.
Yes.
But I think the most important is to go feel what you connect to. It's you're adopting. So you
Yeah.
adopt a puppy, you go feel the puppy.
That's true.
Do I like this puppy? Do they
Yeah.
like me? They,
Yeah.
same
Maybe
thing.
that's what the people at TSA were doing. They were feeling your rocks.
Maybe
Just
good,
trying to get the
awesome,
energy.
amazing. That helped them. I'm happy.
So, other than your children, what legacy would you like to create, and are you creating?
I am leading the revolution of joy.
Yes,
And I
you
call
are.
it a revolution because people don't realize how that is actually a necessity. That we don't see each other right now. This is the first time I would say in my life that I walk around with a heightened awareness of racism. And it's a really strange feeling.
It's
I grew up in
pervasive.
hippie Brooklyn, right? With
Yeah.
a bunch of hippie parents, but yet I really feel conscious,
Yeah.
which is gross. I've
Yeah,
never
it's
felt that.
pervasive.
At 49 years old, I've never felt that. And that's been a blessing. I mean, not to say that the racism has not existed around me,
Right.
but where I really don't know how people feel. I think that's what I'm saying. For the
Right.
first time, I'm looking at you, and I'm like a giant 11-year-old. So I see people, I'm like, hi.
Yeah, I'm the same.
But this is the first time in my life where I'm kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, that joy doesn't necessarily get reciprocated, or that openness doesn't get reciprocated.
Right.
Sometimes it gets blatantly shut down.
That's right.
I know, it's fascinating.
So what I want people to see the beauty inside themselves. Because when they see the beauty inside themselves, they see the beauty in other people. And that literally is where leaders come from. Because we don't have leadership right now. We don't have a lot of local leadership. Even our Democratic race is really making me sad because there's,
a little all over the place.
And how can you have this many candidates? That means you're splitting a vote. There's no strategy. I heard this expression that made me sad, but it's true, that Republicans fall in line and Democrats fall in love.
Ooh.
And unfortunately, we don't really have a lot of room for love right now. We need strategy.
Yeah.
So, one of the most beautiful things I ever saw was when Hillary said, I'm going to step down because we're splitting the vote and Barack needs this vote. My time will come.
Yeah.
Whether I'm not supporting or saying that Barack or Hillary or anyone, but I'm just saying that strategy of politics is missing because everyone is, I don't even know. It's like
deflecting or deferring.
But no, what can we do? And what's
As
missing
a
is the
community,
we.
collectively.
Right. The we is missing because I don't think people are understanding that the I,
Yes.
right? The I
Yeah.
is actually
There's
in
no
win.
I in team.
That's right. It's we.
Yeah.
How do we get what we need?
Yeah.
And the kids see it. The kids see it. We just don't see it.
So that leads me to a question about community.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing something very exciting with Quilt. Talk to me about community building with Quilt.
Yes, I've met this founder through Jasper and Logan, and I love what they're doing. And they have a platform where they're doing. I think I'm not. Hopefully, I don't botch this up too much, but they're doing kind of work sharing spaces in people's homes, and they're doing these gatherings. They call them. What do they call them? Ask and tells. Thank you.
Ask and tell.
And so what you can do is you can say, I want to host one in my house and talk about what I do, and people can ask questions and then have the experience of what you're leading. And I love that.
I love that.
All my
The name
friends
Quilt
think I'm
says it all,
crazy.
doesn't
They're
it?
like, people are coming to your house? It's okay. It's
all
okay. Exactly.
So you have had so many successes. You've successfully pivoted. You've done entertaining. You've done music. You've done catering. You've done so many things. What's next on your bucket list?
We're going to have a hooky world tour.
A hooky world tour. What is that?
A hooky world tour. We're gonna have stadiums, and people are gonna stand in stadiums, and they're gonna connect to each other. They're gonna feel each other. They're gonna look each other's eyes. They're gonna sing songs. They're gonna get out of their heads.
Hold hands.
They're gonna hold hands. They're gonna dance
Not
around.
be afraid to touch someone.
That's right, and not be afraid to touch yourself.
Yeah.
Like, people do not give themselves enough loving.
That's major.
I'm always telling people, date yourself first.
Oh my God,
Take yourself
first.
on a date. Wear your best nightgown to sleep.
Right.
Like, what? Drink
Wear
out of
the
a
matching
champagne glass
lingerie.
with your orange juice. Like, love the shit out of yourself.
I'm signing up.
Because listen, you want someone to treat you a certain way. Are you treating yourself that way?
That's so important.
All my
and I think
single
we
friends
do
are like,
forget
I
that.
want a guy that has they roll a list out. It's like 40 things. And I always sit back and say, great, are you all those things?
Yeah.
Well, when you are, you'll get them.
Yeah. And I firmly believe in that, because there was a time when I just said, oh my God, I was so tired of dating and all the BS. And I thought, okay, enough is enough. I'm going to take this time to work on myself and become the kind of person that I
That's right.
would want to date.
That's right.
So interestingly enough, I did that, and that took care of itself.
I love that. We'll talk about that after.
We'll talk about it in another podcast.
But I think, the idea overall is I'm leading experiential change. Because what people do is when they feel something, and it becomes ingrained in who they are. So you could tell people and you could teach people, but if you get people to feel, which is why people love immersive experiences right now, why festivals are bigger than one artist's concert, because people want to be in the experience. They want to connect with each other. They want to feel.
And in community.
So I have an immersive experience I wrote.
Yes.
I have a game I created. Yes.
Oh my gosh, what's the name of this game?
It's called What You Say.
What?
Yeah, it's so
What
good.
do you say?
What You Say.
What you say?
And,
I love it. Where could we get it?
Well, we're launching it. We're working on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And-
Launch coming.
Yeah, a podcast called Truth, Myths, and Lies.
Oh my goodness.
A book. I'm doing all these things, but
You're
they all
doing
lead
it
to the
all.
same thing. They're really
Yes.
all about what Hooky Day is about.
Oh my
And that's
gosh.
about finding the joy and exploration inside yourself.
And what's the name of your podcast?
Truth, Myths, and Lies.
I love it.
I'm excited.
I am excited for you.
Yes, well, you'll be on it.
Oh, thank you. I would be honored. Absolutely. Okay. So you have a lot on your bucket list.
Yes.
Unbelievable, Grace. I can't even imagine how you're going to do this, but even though I don't know you well, I have a feeling you're going to do this.
I'm going to do this.
I know it. So last few questions. What's the most interesting thing you've learned from someone else?
Wow.
I love these questions.
I love it. I do this thing every time there's dinner or any meal with anyone, and
Yes.
I ask everyone a question around the table.
Yes.
And this is a new one.
Oh, okay.
I'm definitely
I've
borrowing
gifted
this
you with
one.
something
I
today.
love this.
Okay, I'll email it to you.
What's
What's the
the most
most significant
interesting-
thing you've learned from someone else?
I think that the secret of everything in life is that what you believe it is. So you can manifest, right? We all talk about manifesting, but as LZ says, what we're mostly doing is manifucking ourselves.
Who said that?
Lauren Zander. Because reality is
that's a tweet.
because with the expression, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, yes.
That's right. Yes.
And so it's once you know that, there's no unseeing, no unfeeling that. So I literally makes me change my state because I can hear myself do it.
Yep.
I wake up. I'm gonna go in this meeting. I had a meeting this morning with this incredible woman Spotify about the podcast, and we're talking.
Yes.
And I'm so excited. And 5 minutes before the podcast, I stop and I'm like, oh, was she gonna get the idea? Because we all have that. That's natural.
Right. Yeah.
So I could live in that. And what does that do? It's gonna spiral me out. And then I had to talk to me and me.
Yeah.
Of course she is.
Yes.
It's an amazing idea.
That's right.
I love it. She's going to love it.
I love it.
And I think that's really the most amazing thing I ever learned is that everything in life is what you believe it is.
Yeah. So what's the most interesting thing you've learned about yourself thus far?
That I am... what's the most interesting thing I've learned about myself?
That's another dinner table question.
That is... yeah. Well, no, I actually asked that one a lot. But in this context...
Yes. If I may,
that curiosity is the fountain of youth.
Yes,
I think that's the most. I think people are always asking me. They're shocked when I say I'm 49, and I think that's really
professional opinion. You don't look it.
Well, thank you. Well, from you, professional. I really did. Trust me, we have to talk after.
Okay, another session.
But I think that's what it is. I really am so excited about everything all the time.
Yeah,
and I don't think I realized that was a gift.
That is a gift
because I've had some husbands who are very annoyed about that. Like I'll go places and people just stop and talk to me all the time. And I give them my full attention because people are interesting. And I literally always get really, I was trying to make eye contact. You weren't annoyed by this.
Yes.
And I just think it's the greatest gift that I have.
Good for you. So. You are very gifted, talented, and highly blessed and highly favored. So if I may offer something that I've learned about you in this short time is that you're resilient. Your experience for me, just listening to what you shared, is transformative for me. And I'm getting, like little quivers because I feel it so deeply. Again, I don't know you very well. I'm honored that you came to spend time with me on this podcast today, but you're a very special person and you've moved me, and I thank you for that.
Well, thank you. That's beautiful.
Okay, last two questions. This one is called the Fast Five. I'm going to give you two choices, and you just have to say immediately what comes to mind. Don't even think about it. Just say it, okay? The Fast Five. The first one, lapis or amethyst?
Amethyst.
Wow. Singing or dancing?
Both.
Okay, I'll let you have both. Beret or turban?
Oh, turban all day. I make turbans.
Me too. Spring or summer?
Summer.
Fork or spoon?
Spoon.
Okay. Last question. I always end with this one. What are Grace Harry, your top 5 recommendations for living a graceful, obviously, fabulous and beautiful life? Your top 5.
My top one for everyone on the planet is that when you open your eyes, the first thing you have to do is think about what is the most fun, excited, or silly thing you could do for yourself before you talk to anyone or do anything.
Okay.
That's number one. Everyone has to do this every day.
Okay.
And it could be something as small as you just remember a joke someone said, or you roll in your sheets for a good 5 minutes and just feel how good those sheets feel.
Yes.
Look at some art that's in your room.
Yeah.
Or like write a message, something that like just feels juicy or fun or silly, and guide your day in a way that's all about enjoying it. That's the first thing.
Perfect.
I think the second thing is to really take a moment every day to appreciate yourself. Say something really nice to yourself every day. If you're looking for validation outside yourself, you're never going to get it. But as soon as you start to say, wow, that was amazing, you just did that.
Yes.
Or at the end of your day, instead of rolling through this was hard, or this sucked, or the subway was this, or it was raining.
Getting all caught up.
It was like, I killed it at blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And really give yourself that praise.
Agreed. You killed it at this podcast.
You killed the things. I feel it.
What's your number 3?
My number 3 is enjoy food.
Ooh.
And I don't mean enjoy and eat to excess.
Right.
I think that we all eat past, because I am definitely, I am an emotional eater. So it's been a long battle and journey with food with me. And instead of stuffing our faces, what I've learned is to make food a ritual.
Okay.
So if you want to eat something and you were like, I'm going to let myself have whatever this is, right?
Yes.
Don't rush, eat it, devour it, and feel guilty about it. Take a small amount of it and luxuriate in it. Feel it in your mouth. Enjoy it. Think about what a blessing it is that you get to have it. And then if you do that, most of the time you don't want to eat the whole thing.
True.
And then you feel great.
Yeah.
Because you know what? It's all energy and how it gets stored in your body. So I think it's a big miss, especially in this supersized country we live in.
Mindfulness eating, mindful eating.
Yeah, and I stay away from these buzzwords only because it conjures such a specific thing.
Yeah, what exactly are we supposed to be doing to be mindful?
Just eat it like a kid.
Yeah.
Like kids have no guilt about what they eat.
None.
And they really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's true.
You see a kid eat gum. We eat gum, we worry about our breath. Kids are making bubbles. They're making them big. They're looking at the color of the gum.
They're cracking their gums.
They're cracking it. They're combining two colors. It's like a science project.
It's true.
Eat it like a kid.
Yeah, it's true. What's your number 4 besides?
Number 4 is that the world is really available for you. And that if you cannot stay in one place.
That's precious.
You have to see other people in their environment and not in a tourist way. Like, find one place in the world, go to that place, find a person on the street, ask them their favorite local place to eat or their favorite local place to do something. Actually experience a culture.
Yeah.
You go to a big fancy resort.
Yeah.
Get off the resort, go to a local school, see what people are really doing, impact that community. And I take it a step further, and I make sure I don't leave anywhere without doing something positive. So I went to a reserve in Tanzania. It was beautiful.
Wow. Yes.
I made the whole family go to a local school and spend the day with those kids, play, do something. I think it was a half a day.
Yeah.
But leave a gift where you've received a gift.
That's true.
We don't do that.
I love that. And your number 5.
Enjoy your friends.
Very sweet.
Tell them something every day. Like, pick one person a week and just tell them something you appreciate about them. We all don't do that enough. It's like, you know what? It could be small. Like, your laugh makes me happy. Remember in 3rd grade when you gave me that pencil? I really appreciate it. It doesn't have to be big or momentous or poetic. And you don't have to be Shakespeare. Yeah. Just let someone.
Doesn't have to be perfect.
It could be a text.
Yeah.
It could be the next time you see them, but just let someone know how much you appreciate what they've done for you at some point in your life and their life.
Well, that was indeed a fabulous Fab 5. Thank you so much, Grace.
Thank you.
Again
This was
and
fun.
again. I'm so honored to have your presence
Thank
here. And thank you, listeners, for listening to Grace Harry on the subject of truth and dare, finding your voice and living your truth and your legacy. If you'd like to live in grace and find grace, please go to rapturegrace.com.
Yeah, I think you can just. I think the Instagram is easier. At Grace Harry is the easiest way.
At Grace Harry Instagram.
Website.
Okay, and if you want one of those beautiful pouches, and boy, are they beautiful, go to
volerlove.com.
volerlove.com. VOLER love.com. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Forever Fab Podcast. Until next time, stay beautiful inside and out.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Forever Fab, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty, curated by Dr. Shirley Madhere, MD. Live beautifully and help make the world a more beautiful place.